At the French Open, Coco Gauff just created history by demolishing Aryna Sabalenka, losing a set to the top player in the world. Gauff won her second Grand Slam title after flipping the entire match. Sabalenka's statistics from this game are incredibly harsh. Additionally, Gauff's records put her in the realm of tennis aristocracy. Serena Williams is the first American to triumph at Roland Garros. She accomplished this by causing Sabalenka to totally collapse on the larger stage. I have a question. Is Coco Gauff currently the present, or is she formerly the future of women's tennis? Tell me in the comments. Let's discuss what transpired at Roland Garros, because this game was a masterclass in tactical execution and mental toughness. Coco Gauff entered Philippe Chatrier's court as the underdog in a match against world champion Aryna Sabalenka, and she emerged victorious with 2 Grand Slam titles. The scoring lines are 6-7, 5-6, 6-2, and 6-4. However, such figures fail to convey the drama, the fluctuations in momentum, or the total psychological collapse that Sabalenka went through over the course of 2 hours and 38 minutes. Sabalenka opened fire. She appeared to be the dominant world #1 who is expected to add another significant trophy to her collection as she stormed to a 4-1 lead in the opening set. Before the audience had even taken their places, Gauff appeared as though she might be blasted off the court as her power game was clicking and her serves were landing. This was meant to be Sabalenka's coronation at Roland Garros, her opportunity to demonstrate that she is capable of winning at the highest level on clay. This is where things started to get interesting, though. Even with that dominating lead, Sabalenka was unable to close. The wind increased. Her feelings began to waver, and all of a sudden, the 4-1 advantage vanished. Gauff retaliated, prolonging rallies and forcing Sabalenka to hit more balls than she had intended. Gauff took a 5-3 lead as the opening set went to a tiebreak based on how it began. She was 2 points away from snatching a set that she had no right to win. With a drop shot and drop volley combination, Sabalenka won 4 straight points to end the tiebreak, demonstrating her class at that precise moment. World-class products with a championship track record. However, her remaining energy seemed to be depleted by that attempt. One of the most spectacular collapses in a Grand Slam final in recent memory followed. There was no competition in the second set. It was demolished. Sabalenka appeared to be a different player once Gauff had changed the script. Suddenly, the strength that had been so overpowering in the beginning created mistakes rather than victories. After each missed shot, the feelings that had been directed toward intensity became apparent agony. The game that was meant to be Sabalenka's coronation turned into her horror as Gauff easily won 6-2. Because this battle is so violent, let's now discuss the statistic that best describes it. Sabalenka made 73 unintentional mistakes. 73. Gauff earned 30. That is not a minor variation in performance. It's a chasm. That's what separates a player who was in charge from one whose game totally deserted her at the most crucial moment. That kind of error count makes it impossible to win tennis matches at any level, much less a Grand Slam final against a player with Coco Gauff's level of skill. At just 21 years old, the third set demonstrated why Gauff is a triple Grand Slam champion. For a 3-1 advantage, she broke early. Additionally, Gauff remained calm when Sabalenka managed to level the score at 3-3. She broke again right away, but she maintained her composure to finish the match. That's the mindset of a champion. That's what separates players who win majors from those who lose them.
Je fais la main, score. 2 manches à 1. 6-7, 6-2, 6-4.
Philippe Chatrier went to her knees on the court's clay when Gauff hit the game-winning shot. She received a standing ovation from the audience. Her father actually ran down the stairs to share the moment, while her parents hurried to hug her. It was more than just a tennis match. On one of tennis's most historic stages, this 21-year-old was solidifying her position among the top players in her discipline. With this triumph, Gauff shattered important records. Since Serena Williams won the French Open in 2015, she is the first American woman to do so. 10 years without an American champion at Roland Garros is something to consider, and Gauff put a magnificent end to that drought. Additionally, since Serena Williams in 2002, she is the youngest American champion at Roland Garros. Since Gauff is on a similar path of dominance, the comparisons to Williams are justified. Gauff is now in genuinely elite company after this victory. Before turning 22, she was already a multiple Grand Slam champion. How many players can say that? The names on the incredibly small list define tennis history. Gauff is no longer merely competing at the top level. She routinely defeats the world's top players at the highest level. Gauff now has a 6-5 advantage over Sabalenka in the head-to-head match. However, that figure highlights the importance of these recent successes. Gauff won the 2023 US Open by defeating Sabalenka. She has now defeated her once more to win the French Open in 2025. Gauff has managed to prevail in the most important games on the largest stages. It's not a coincidence. Sabalenka should be concerned about this tendency, as should everyone who thinks Gauff will be the future of women's tennis. Since Gauff's game has changed significantly since her first French Open final appearance, let's discuss what she did tactically. She was defeated by Iga Swiatek in that final 3 years ago. Although it was a horrible event, she obviously gained knowledge from it. Her forehand, which was previously thought of as a weakness that opponents could exploit, remained solid during this game. Her powerful topspin caused Sabalenka to step outside of her comfort zone, transforming what had previously been a vulnerability into a weapon. Her defensive style was utterly oppressive. Everything Sabalenka threw at her, Gauff pursued. Balls that would have won against the majority of players returned with enthusiasm. She prolonged rallies, caused discomfort for Sabalenka, and made the top player in the world strive for more points. These 73 unintentional mistakes were a direct result of such pressure. Because anything less kept coming back, Sabalenka felt as though she had to squash every ball. The misses eventually accumulated. However, Gauff wasn't satisfied with only defending. She switched from full defense to restrained attack as the game went on. She began stepping in and taking time away, focusing on Sabalenka's second serve. Her backhand turn became a weapon as she found ways to open up the court. Grand Slam winners and gifted athletes who never quite make it to the top are distinguished by this tactical sophistication. Under pressure, Gauff reads matches, makes adjustments, and implements improvements. There was a clear mental difference between these two players. Throughout the fight, Sabalenka displayed every emotion on her face: visible suffering following mistakes, extravagant celebrations following victories, and a continual oscillation between misery and joy. Her vitality was depleted and her rhythm was upset by that emotional roller coaster. Gauff, on the other hand, remained very composed. She didn't react much, even when things went against her. She never gave Sabalenka the joy of witnessing frustration. Instead, she remained upbeat and concentrated. Gauff was candid about her attitude during the game in her victory speech. She stated that she didn't believe she could succeed. Most players would have doubted themselves after falling behind in the opening set in a Grand Slam final against the world number 1. However, she expressed her gratitude to the audience for supporting her during such times and providing her with energy when her own reserves ran low. Gauff is a very likable champion for her modesty and clear brilliance. She expressed her gratitude to her parents and team, stating that they are the reason she competes and that they are her biggest sources of inspiration. One of those unadulterated sporting moments that goes beyond competition was witnessing her father run down those stairs to hug her. This family has put their all into Coco's tennis career. It must have been overwhelming to see that investment pay off with a second Grand Slam victory. In the meantime, watching Sabalenka's post-match interview was excruciating. She battled her feelings, expressed regret to her team for what she described as a poor final, and made a promise to return stronger. "This will hurt so much," was exactly what she said. It was evident that she meant every word. Falling apart in a Grand Slam final obviously saddened Sabalenka, a determined competitor who sets herself to extremely high standards. These two are developing one of the most interesting rivalries in women's tennis. Gauff now has a 6-5 lead after 11 games. More significantly, though, Gauff has prevailed in their two most significant encounters, both Grand Slam finals. Even though Sabalenka is ranked #1 in the world, Gauff always manages to triumph when these two compete on the biggest platforms. For years to come, women's tennis will be shaped by that dynamic. This triumph solidifies Gauff's place as the second-best player in the world, directly after Sabalenka. However, what we witnessed at Roland Garros is not captured by rankings. Rankings don't reflect tactical development, mental toughness, or the capacity to step up when everything is on the line. Gauff possesses all of those attributes, and at just 21 years old, she still has her whole prime ahead of her. Gauff is leading the way in American women's tennis success. People wondered for years who would succeed Serena and Venus Williams. The solution is becoming more and more obvious. Coco Gauff has the skill, the mindset, and now the resume to be regarded as the benchmark for women's tennis in the United States. 2 Grand Slam victories at the age of 21, with plenty more chances to come. Gauff succumbed to Iga in her first French Open final 3 years ago. She might have lost faith in clay after that setback. It might have caused mental obstacles about the Roland Garros performance. Rather, she utilized it as fuel. She strengthened her areas of weakness, improved her game, and returned to win the championship. That is a champion's path. Someone who, instead of letting failures define them, learns from them. With players like Gauff at the top, women's tennis appears to have a very bright future. She's likable, marketable, and, most importantly, she succeeds on the largest platforms. Fans adore her, sponsors adore her, and opponents are beginning to fear her due to her consistent improvement. This triumph is especially noteworthy because of how it was accomplished. Gauff didn't fail to defeat a faltering Sabalenka. She defeated a Sabalenka who made a great start to the match, won the first set, and ought to have had all the momentum. Gauff had to fundamentally change the outcome of the game, and she did so by using tactical changes and exceptional mental toughness. That is not fortuitous. That's tennis at the championship level. The 73 unintentional mistakes made by Sabalenka will be discussed for a long time. The figure is startling for any match, much less a Grand Slam final. But we shouldn't just attribute Sabalenka's demise. Gauff set up the conditions that resulted in such mistakes. Sabalenka was forced to overhit by her defense. Sabalenka was unable to withstand the pressure caused by her poise. Her tactical changes took advantage of every flaw in Sabalenka's strategy. The mistakes were a sign of both Sabalenka's difficulties and Gauff's greatness. Philippe Chatrier has seen many significant occasions in the history of tennis. The world's best players have competed and triumphed on the renowned red clay. Now Coco Gauff's name should go with them. She's already cemented herself as a champion in Roland Garros in the age of 21. And additionally, considering her current trajectory, this title in Paris is unlikely to be her last one. Gauff recently demonstrated that she's no longer waiting for her turn. She smashed records that link her to Serena Williams, defeated the world #1 in a Grand Slam final for the second time, and displayed mental tenacity that most players never acquire. She has already won multiple major titles at the age of 21, and her best tennis is still to come. Click like and subscribe if this analysis clarified why Coco Gauff is growing unstoppable. Every stage of her ascent to the top is being covered,